Hello everyone, I'm Shine and you're watching Civil Engineering Tips channel. In this video, we're going to discuss about pile foundation. Pile foundation is a kind of deep foundation which is actually a slender column or long cylinder made of materials such as concrete or steel, which are used to support the structure and transfer the load at desired depth either by end bearing or skin friction. Now let's have some idea about the characteristics of pile foundation. It is either driven into the soil or formed in situ by excavating a hole and filling it with concrete, usually driven in groups to provide foundations for structures. Piles may be subjected to vertical loads, horizontal loads, or a combination of vertical and horizontal loads. Where to use pile foundation? When there are heavy and non-uniform loads from superstructure. When soil at shallow depth is compressible and very weak to support the loads. In case of expansive soil. In case of collapsible soil. When soil has a sudden decrease in void ratio and increase in water content. Due to this, the structure may break down. When groundwater table is high. When there is a canal or deep drainage system near the structure. When there is possibility of scoring due to its location near the riverbed or seashore. Transmission of structural loads through deep water to a firm stratum to resist horizontal forces in addition to vertical loads in earth retaining structures. When it becomes impossible to keep the foundation trenches by pumping or any other way due to heavy flow of seepage. When other types of foundation are expensive or not feasible. Transmission towers, offshore structures which are subjected to uplift. Now let's discuss about the classification of piles. We can classify piles in many ways. At first, we will classify piles based on the function or their uses. Here you can see 8 types of piles classified based on function. The first one is end-bearing pile. End-bearing piles, which is also known as point-bearing piles, are used to transfer superstructure load through low-bearing capacity soil to a strong stratum such as rock or very dense sand and gravel. They infer most of their load carrying capacity from the resistance of the strong soil layer at the end of the pile. Friction pile. Friction piles are also called floating piles, earn most of their bearing capacity by shear stress along the sides of the pile. Friction piles transmit the load from the loose topsoil above the soil below by addition or friction between the surface of the pile and the soil. Compaction pile. Compaction pile is used to strengthen soft ground by installing sand or similar material into the soft ground via a casing pipe and vibrating the sand to produce firmly compacted sand piles in the ground. Tension or uplift pile. Tension piles, also known as uplift piles, are a type of pile foundation that is used to resist uplift forces cause it to be extracted from the ground. Uplift forces can develop as a result of hydrostatic pressure, seismic activity, or overturning moments. Anchor pile. The function of anchor pile is most similar with tension or uplift pile. Fender pile and dolphins. Fender pile is an upright, usually freestanding pile driven into the seabed or a riverbed beside a berth to protect the dock wall or wharf from the impact of vessels. Batter pile. A pile driven at an inclination to the vertical to provide resistance to horizontal forces. Sheet pile. Sheet pile walls have been used to support excavation for below-grade parking structures, basements, pump houses, and foundations, to construct cofferdams, and to construct seawalls and bulkheads. If we classify piles based on transfer of loads, then we will get three types of pile: end-bearing pile, friction pile, and combined end-bearing and friction pile. Sometimes we need to use end-bearing pile and friction pile combinedly. Again, if we classify piles based on materials, then we get five types of pile: concrete piles, timber piles, steel piles, composite piles, and sheet pile. Concrete piles are two types: precast concrete pile and cast in situ pile. Precast concrete pile is a ready-made pile made before constructing the pile foundation, and cast in situ concrete piles are constructed in the site. At first we will make a borehole to our desired depth. Then we will input reinforcement in the hole. Then we will pour concrete inside the hole. This type of pile is called cast in situ concrete pile. Timber piles are made of timber. Here you see one kind of timber pile with water protection in the bottom portion of the pile. Steel piles are made of I-beams. We can use I-beams as pile also. We will insert I-beams into the ground by means of external forces. Composite piles are made of multiple type of materials. Here you see concrete inserted into steel pipe, and it is on kind of composite pile. Now let's classify the piles based on effect of soil. Here we get three types of piles: driven pile, bored pile, and screw pile. The first one is driven pile. When we insert a pile by means of external forces inside the ground, then it is called driven pile. Bored pile: at first we will bore the ground and make a borehole. Then we will insert reinforcement inside the borehole, and finally we will pour concrete inside the borehole. This is called bored pile. Screw piles. Screw piles are a type of deep foundation that can be installed quickly with minimal noise and vibration. Screw piles are wound into the ground much like a screw is wound into wood. It is an efficient means of installation, and coupled with their mechanism and dispersing load provides effective in-ground performance in a range of soils, including earthquake zones with liquefaction potential. Finally, we will classify the piles based on installation method, and here we will get two types of piles, that is driven piles and bored piles, that we have discussed already earlier. Okay everyone, this is all about the types of pile foundation. We will elaborate each type of pile foundation in detail in next videos. Till then, happy learning, keep practicing. See you in the next video.